Dr. T Morrow by Paul John Lim, Part 5. Last time, Thomas was preparing to leave to find Letty. Meanwhile, Letty was in the past. Harting, Hampshire, 1880. Letitia awoke on a stretch of grass in an enclosed area of a park of some sort. As her focus returned, she sat up and looked around. Flowers poked their heads above the hedges surrounding the triangular patch of lawn. She felt queasy. She rubbed a huge lump on her forehead, which hurt a lot. As Letitia started to look around, a passer-by appeared. "You all right, Ducky? What are you doing here, then? Oh my, that's a bobby-dazzler of a shiner. That's a corker of a bruise coming up on your forehead, lovey. Did somebody whop you one?" Letitia replied, "I don't remember. I must have been mugged." Passer-by, mugged? Not heard that word before. Oh, I see, you must be from the circus in town. Is it gypsy talk? Come with me and I'll take you there. It's not far away. There's some right nasty buggers about these days. Did they rob you, darling? Here, let me help you up. Letitia replied, "That's very kind, and yes, I think they must have taken my purse." She noticed that the rucksack was still there. She went to pick it up, but the passer-by lifted it up and said, "I'll carry you that, my ducky." They walked through the park, down a side lane and down past the church, where a large tent stood in the field beyond. Horses were being exercised in an adjoining area which was roped off. A cluster of stalls stood close to the marquee, which was striped red and yellow. To the rear, past the tent, she saw caravans and could hear animals. Looking further to the right, cages were placed so as not to show whatever creature was inside. Soon they were at the entrance to the compound. Passer-by, "There you are then, lovey. Take care. You okay from here on? Here's your fancy shoulder bag." Letitia, "Again, thank you. You're so kind. What is your name?" "It's Gladys Philby," the passer-by replied. "Glad to be friends. You take care, ducky." Letitia stood and watched her walk away, realizing this was real, not a dream. Wake up, wake up. But she still stood in the same place. If this was 1800, she was out of place, out of time, and lost.
imagine pass by my eyes in disbelief. I don't look the part, they begin to notice. They wonder if I'm from the circus across the street. I see the strange clothes they're all wearing, like the clothes they wore last century. Where can she be? Oh, where can she be?
If only my carpet bag had come along with me, I'd be way ahead of fashion, but not so out of place as I look now, not looking like a circus person. She wanted to cry. She was in shock. She was feeling dizzy and desperately needed a drink of water. She realised there was one in her backpack. She also found 2 tablets and took a swig of water. She pulled the bag over one shoulder and headed towards the massive red and yellow striped tent and peered inside. As her eyes adjusted, she saw a net, and way above a female trapeze artist practising with a man in tights and white vest. The trapeze artist shouted, "We aren't open till 3 o'clock. Come back then, okay?" Letitia stood looking up and felt herself crumple, and the world turned black. Girl trapeze artist: "Are you okay, love? You got a nasty bump on your head there. Are you from another circus or travelling magician or something?" Letitia replied, I can't remember anything. Who I am, where I am, or anything at all." She began to cry. It was the easiest thing to do that she lied that she'd lost her memory. She could avoid awkward questions. She wouldn't need to explain why she was dressed so odd. This was the best thing she could think to do. Just act the part and wait for Thomas to find her. And she hoped to God he would, and it would be soon. Soon the tears, she realised, were genuine. It was like something from science fiction. Was it a lucid dream? All she could do was hope it was, and that she would wake up soon.
When tomorrow comes, I'll still say I love you, but you won't far away. I love you, I cry out loud, I sigh every day because you're around. I think of you every second of every day. I miss you with, what can I say? As the stars run their course, I can't fight the invisible force. You can see how long it's been, still shedding tears for you. Oh. was still shedding tears after all these years. Every day
One year later, Harting, Hampshire. The circus had returned to Harting once again. Girl trapeze artist. Come on, Letty, we're on soon. Letitia. I'm ready, hang on to your pantaloons. She opened the caravan door and walked down the wooden steps. The sun was beating down. It was 12 p.m. and the church clock rang out loudly. The field the circus had set up in was so close to the church. The other caravans had their stable-type doors open, and the small fairground that came with the stalls was now set up, along with swing boats and a coconut shy. Close by was a small Arabian-looking tent. It was where the fortune-teller, Miss Mysterio, a.k.a. Ethel Brockleswade, held her sessions and seances. Ethel was just coming out. She waved and the two trapeze artists waved back. Ethel shouted in a thick northern accent, I hope the lads have rigged your net up well. I have an odd feeling about today. Promise me you don't do out daft, me lovers. Just be careful. Letitia and Colette in unison replied, We will. Letitia climbed the rope at the band end of the marquee end, and Colette the other. Letty was fitter than she'd ever been in her entire life, and the arm muscles proved her strength as she pulled herself upwards, her legs level with her waist. She wore the same costume as Colette, frilly light blue knickers with silver silk stars sewn on, over a blue and white leotard with sequins, silver tassels, and soft silk white lace-up ballet shoes, and their hair in ringlets with a bun on top, completed the picture. Letitia, how long will it be until Sal gets his broken arm mended, so we can do some real flying? That horse he tried to stop running amok didn't half give him a good kick. He was lucky it didn't kill him. Colette, I hope soon. He's trying to build up the strength in it. We can only do so much without his strength for catching, but we can put on a good show, can't we? He must rest it, despite what that bully boss man says. Let me try the long catch. Sal isn't here to say no, and then Sal can get better. We will raise the net very high. It will be safe. You know what Ethel said, replied Letitia. Just want to see. I'm not too confident. The two girls picked up speed, standing on the rung, leaning back, then forward, and soon they were swinging high and swinging in time. Soon both sat on the rung. Colette turned round so she was backwards and hanging upside down. Now, Letty, shouted Colette. Un, deux, trois. Letitia let go, and she was somersaulting, trying to see Colette's hands. She grabbed out and caught one hand, but missed the second, and fell bouncing in the net. Letitia shouted up to Colette, Sorry, I just can't quite see your hands, and I always was clumsy. Colette, No, don't worry. We tried. We will just have to do a few more stunts on the horses. You are good at that. Letitia, I think I need a bit more practice. Colette, I have been doing this since I was small. All my family, the Valans, have been on the trapeze. The name Valand means in English one who flies and is agile. Letitia, you have achieved so much in such a short space of time. I'm so proud of you." The girls had now slid down the ropes and were holding hands as they walked out of the half-light of the marquee into the sunlight. "Letitia, see you before the 2 o'clock show then." She walked to her caravan and Colette to her and Sal's. Letitia pretended to recall a few things of her past slowly over the previous months. That her name was Letitia, and the name Morrow seemed familiar. Letitia sat on her bunk, rubbing her right shoulder, which ached from the fall, and picked up a book she had just purchased at a market stall. It wasn't cheap. It was Jane Eyre. It helped, put everything in context, as she oddly had seen the film, but somehow had never ever read the book. She looked up out of the high window and sighed. After just 2 paragraphs, she put down the book and opened today's date in her diary and wrote, "A year has passed. We are back where I arrived. We have toured the country following the gypsy switch, visiting towns and cities, and have seen such a lot. I love my life here in the 1800s. Though life is hard, most people have little money to spend on food and lodgings, let alone going to the circus. A new Prime Minister Gladstone, I am sure, will not change things, despite him being a Liberal. I wish I knew more of history than I do. Much of it is new to me. I have saved everything I can this last year, which is a pittance, but have been given a life, and I am not wanting for food. Now I have saved enough, and soon I must leave and travel to Bishop Somerton and to Morrow Hall. I don't know where you will be, Thomas. You never spoke much of your past, although you did mention that when you were young, your father and your stepmother disappeared whilst on holiday in Egypt. That someone secretly paid for you to go to university. If they had not, we may never have met. Oh, Thomas, you will love to read my tales, if you do ever get to read this." She broke down in tears. She cried out loud to the sky, "Where are you, my love? Please come and find me. Please, if only I could let you know where I am, somehow." She lay down, and a thought came like an electric shock. "Oh my God, I can let him know." She could write a letter and pay a solicitor. No, she couldn't save that much for a solicitor. She'd no idea how much that would cost. They would laugh at her. Here a circus performer. She could never tell the truth. They'd lock her away as a mad woman. She knew she would have to go to Morrow Hall and see if Thomas's ancestor would believe her. No, that's stupid. Still, she must go and make it up as she went along. 1 more month and she would have enough money to travel from Harting in Hampshire to Bishop Somerton in Surrey, taking the diary or a letter she would write with her, and trust to fate as Thomas always told her to. No one ever left the circus. She would have to sneak away. Unless... The ringmaster shouted with a huge bellowing voice, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, Holroyd's Wonder Circus are proud to present the Flying Angels, who will now perform high wire feats of astounding balance and agility." The girls balanced on the thin wire with gilded poles with tassels at the ends, Colette somersaulting and hanging daringly with one hand waving to the crowd, whose applause could only just be heard over the band. They performed some feats on the swings, dangling and doing the splits, whilst not holding on with the hands. Then the music stopped, and the ringmaster came into the ring. "Now, ladies and gentlefolk, and children, you are about to witness history in the making. A new world record for a lady trapeze artist. The most daring, death-defying, difficult, sensational, daring double somersault catch." The crowd roared. Letitia and Colette climbed the ropes to the rousing music of the small circus band, who struck up with a piece based on Sousa's Resumption March. The girls then began swinging, building up speed in time as high as they could possibly go. Then with a wave from Colette, the band stopped, except the drummer, who did a low snare roll that suddenly rose in pitch as Letitia let go and sailed towards Colette. Adrenaline surged through her brain. Everything was in slow motion. She saw the tent roof spin into view and then clockwise around again. She let go and missed Colette's reaching hands. The drummer stopped playing, the silence filled by a big ooh of exclamation from the audience as Letty spun downwards to the net way below. She put her arms out facing down when hitting the net, knowing this was the wrong thing to do, and as she landed she heard her shoulder crack and the pain rip through her brain and body. The crowd was stunned in silence, but soon they lowered the net, and Letitia, although in agony, used her good arm to wave to the crowd, who clapped a truly loud applause. The band started up, and as Colette performed solo feats now on the tightrope, Letitia was taken to a caravan supported by Sal and Mikel the horseboy, who then left, as he was due to bring out the horses. Sal: "What happened in there, Letty? I can't believe what I saw. You both promised you would never do the double. I'm so really angry with you both." Letty replied: "We hoped to get the audience numbers up. They missed you and your triple twist somersaults. I know that bully Olroyd would get you performing far too soon, and me and Colette thought we could help. I remembered a while ago now, a memory albeit fuzzy, a relative in Surrey. I'm going to go and see him as soon as the doc has had a look to get me better." Sal: "Why did you flail your arms around and land face down instead of curling up or landing on your back? If I didn't know better, I would think you did it on purpose." Letty replied: "I don't know, I don't know." She didn't need to fake the tears this time, as the pain was worse now. Sal: "Look at me. Me and Colette have a little money stashed away. We can let you have some money. I will take you to the town doctor and get it fixed. We have a soft spot for you, you know. You are family now, you are one of the angels." Letty looked up at Sal and nodded, biting her lip. This time the tears were of sorrow. "Letitia, I see you as my family too. I don't know what I would have done without you both. I still only remember patches of my life. I woke 2 months ago remembering my cousin, and the name Bishop Somerton, with the image of fields and the scent of wild flowers in the air, but nothing else." Sal didn't believe her, but he knew she needed to go. He hoped she would return. She always was so kind and funny too. Both loved her as a sister. He sent his young brother to fetch the pony and trap. Soon they entered the town, and they entered the doctor's surgery. "Dr. Wainwright, you had a nasty fall. You must be in agony, and I'm sorry this will hurt even more." He held her close and pushed on her shoulder. Soon a loud pop as her shoulder clicked into place. Immediately the pain lessened considerably. "Dr. Wainwright, you do know it will never be the same again, don't you? Your trapeze days may be over. Just depends on what damage you've done, and if you let it mend." Letitia now kicked herself. She had just hoped she could strain an arm or a leg, not create a permanent injury. Sal paid the doctor, who knew times were hard, and charged less than half his fee. "Dr. Wainwright," to Sal, "now don't you go telling anyone I charge you this amount. This is between you and me. But some tickets for my family would be most welcome as a thank you, if that's possible." "Sal, you are most kind. For a native, we'll shake on it." Sal spat on his hand, and with slight reluctance the doctor did the same, and they shook hands, and Sal smiled. Sal said, "I thought you wouldn't shake. Now I know that you are true, Doc." Sal and Letitia left, and the doctor washed his hands immediately, and looked in the mirror. If only they knew where my ancestors on my mother's side came from. And he smiled to himself. 2 days later the morning came, and it was time for Letitia to leave. Still in pain, but her one hand carried the backpack she had arrived with all that time ago. She didn't want to go, but her heart still ached for Thomas. She really hadn't missed her life in 2024 as much as she thought, and her new family was so kind. Letitia said, "I will be thinking of you both. I will be back." Colette hugged her, gently avoiding her left arm. Sal: "Billy here will take you in the cart to the station. You take care, and we'll see you as soon as you're healed. This year, like every second year, we will be at the wake in Morley, in Derbyshire, the week before September 21st, on the feast of St. Matthew, in case you forget. That's where the king of the gypsies used to live, and where the clans meet still. But you know where we are other than that on the circuit. It's a pleasure to have known you, Letty." Sal reached out to shake her hand, but Letitia clumsily lunged forward and hugged Sal as best she could, then kissed his hand. She was sure his eyes were moist. Soon she was on the train heading west, first into London, then changed at Liverpool Street Station and took the line north, finally a branch line to Bishop Somerton.